the coordinator for egg donation programs, IVF plus egg donation. And as well as our lawyer, Denise German, will also be talking today. So let us first start. Actually, the initial stage. In 2004, Ukraine opened surrogacy and allowed it for everyone. Currently, for married heterosexual couples. And the couple needs to be infertile, and this needs to be proved documentary. So here you can see the abstracts from our legislation. So in our family code, it is stated that the main point is that if parents are in official marriage and the genetic material of one of the intended parents is used, parents are considered to be legal parents of the child. As well as there is an order of Ministry of Healthcare, and this is the main document. These are two main documents that regulate surrogacy in Ukraine. So, as you can see, in case of surrogacy, a surrogate mother is not a mother of a child. Parents are considered to be mother and father of a child. A child obtains a very simple birth certificates where you are indicated as mother and a father. But more about that will be told by my colleague, because it's more about the legal things. So, how to get started? First of all, normally everything starts from the email or a call, and then I usually send a lot of documents. And we find out the date for initial consultation. Before the initial consultation, there is a preparation for the intended parents. Because you can't just come in and say, I want surrogacy. You need to have medical proof. So either your doctor needs to state your history based on reports, or you may provide reports from your previous IVF donor eggs, if any. Because situations may be different, there may be different cases, and but according to Ukrainian legislation, we need to have medical background in order to provide surrogacy program for you. And when you come for initial consultation, normally it starts in the morning, like at 11 p.m. What we offer with our programs, like I usually say, we're a full cycle clinic, starting from the initial email and guiding you through the whole program till the final goodbye in the airport. Because we take care about everything. We meet you in the airport. Our logistics and housing provides you pickup from the airport. Of course, for that we need to have your flight details in order to arrange the pickup from the airport. Then you will be provided with the accommodation, and for the whole time if you stay, you will be provided with meals, with the transportation depends on the packages. We will talk about that later. But now, when you come for initial consultation, it's better to come a day prior, because you will spend the whole day in the clinic. It will start from when you come to the clinic. Normally you are met by the manager in charge of the program, or practically my assistant Svetlana meets you in the clinic, and we start from blood tests. If it's a surrogacy using donor eggs, so through tests we go on with the husband. If it's surrogacy using own eggs, so both the intended mother and intended father go through the set of tests. We will test you for serology, for hepatitis B, hepatitis C, HIV, syphilis. We will define the karyotype, because according to our order of Ministry of Healthcare, both parents, or if it's a parent and a donor, we need to define whether there are any chromosomal abnormalities. For that, we run the karyotype test. If you have it, it's valid for the whole life. So if you previously did it, so you just may bring it with you. But if you haven't, we will do it in our lab. Actually, some of the tests you can do at home. For example, if we're talking about surrogacy using ONX, you will need to bring the AMH level with you, anti-Mullerian hormone level with you, and the breast ultrasound with you. These are two very important documents for the doctor while she will be making decision as to possibility of us providing the program for you. Come in, come in, take a seat, please. So, just to make a decision, because probably you know that we provide the unlimited number of attempts till the live birth. What does it mean? We start, and no matter how many attempts you will need for your baby to be born, we will do them. But naturally, number of self-stimulations is limited. And it is limited according to the doctor's decision, because we can't stimulate you unlimited number of times, because we do not want to harm your health. So if the doctor thinks that you're healthy and you can undergo stimulation, the doctor checks you on the ultrasound. The doctor checks the intended mother on the ultrasound and see if there is a possibility to stimulate. If we talk about surrogacy using donor eggs, then the intended father will undergo the IVF, sperm count, will undergo the will undergo the blood test, will see the doctor. After the medical part is over and both the embryology lab and the fertility specialist confirms that we can do the program from the medical side, then you have a consultation with a manager in charge of the program. Normally it's me. Usually we discuss the contracts, we discuss the program, I answer your questions. If everything is fine, you choose the contract, and then we sign contracts. There are a lot of forms. Ukraine is a little bit bureaucratic country, so if you want your sperm to be frozen and used for fertilization, then you will need to fill in the form for freezing and unfreezing. And if you want, if you want the embryos, please. If you want the embryos to be cryopreserved, then you will also need to fill in that form. And if you're ready, and if you decided that you will go with us, you make the first payment and we start the program. If you want some time to think, you take the contracts and go back home. The initial consultation is free. There is no rush. It is a very serious decision. It's a serious program, and we deeply believe that the parents need to be ready for this program. So when you're entering into program, normally, you know, when couples come for initial consultation and they see, and there are some cases just when husband is ready and the wife is not quite ready, probably want to try more IVS, I recommend to wait. I recommend not, because if you're not quite ready and if you haven't decided that you want to go down to surrogacy route, you need some time. Also, let's go forward. This is the set of documents that,
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
That original consultation, is it in UK or is it in Ukraine?
It's in Ukraine in our clinic. Like what we launched, starting from this program, that for surrogacy using donor eggs, if you we have having personal consultations tomorrow, and if you have tests like fresh sperm count, fresh blood tests done here in the UK, if everything is okay, so we may sign contracts and then you come for fertilization directly. But it's just a start. We haven't tried that whether it works or it doesn't work, so we will see. Normally, currently, the initial consultation is mandatory, like in our clinic, to come and to see the doctor, to ask all the questions, to undergo the blood test. If we are talking about surrogacy using ONX, and if we are talking about surrogacy with shipped embryos, the initial consultation in our clinic is mandatory because you will go through the set of tests. it is mandatory. But if we are talking about surrogacy using donor eggs, so like the initial consultation, like we will have tomorrow, when I look through your papers, and if everything is okay, we may sign contracts. We have launched this process, we will see how it works. So for initial consultation, normally you can see the set of documents that is needed. So for the couple, as I told before, you will need to be in official marriage, so we will need a marriage certificate. Even if you got married just before the program, it's okay. There is no requirement for how long you should be married in order to take part in the program. But you can't get married when like a surrogate mother is pregnant. No, first you get married, and after that we start the program. You will need to bring the original of the passports, and here what I told you before, what tests you will need to provide. Actually, if you do not have them available, but you come to us for our initial consultation, we may do it in our lab and it will be included. So we will not charge you for that, like for sperm count, for blood test, for karyotyping. What is needed and what is a very important part of the document that you need to bring with you is the doctor's certificate. Because, like I said, we need a medical background. According to our legislation, if you had 4 and more unsuccessful attempts of IVF or IVF donor using donor eggs, this is a basis for surrogacy already. You do not need a separate document bring to us if you have the reports from those IVFs. If it's something like if you had a surgery that do not give you possibility to carry out pregnancy, this report from your surgery is also a background for us and basis to provide the surrogacy program. If you have some kind of kidney problem, surely you're treated by the doctor who can write down what exact disease you have, and it is enough. So, why I would like to explain why do we need the last point, because the first one is the standard, and if you would like to be stimulated, if we're talking about surrogacy using own eggs, we need the decision from your doctor that your doctor allows you to be stimulated for hormonal ovarian stimulation, because sometimes there are diseases that you cannot carry out pregnancy, but you can be stimulated. But sometimes there are diseases that stimulation is prohibited for you, because sometimes it may worsen any oncological diseases. In case of hormonal ovarian stimulation, it may cause the relapse, and it may cause very unpleasant situation later for you. So we need your doctor to allow you to be hormonally stimulated. And the breast ultrasound check, as well as for that reason, for our doctor will look through it and understand whether the hormonal ovarian stimulation will not cause any problems like with the breast, will not cause like start of breast cancer or etc. etc. Hormones, medications that are used for hormonal stimulation, they are synthetical analogs of the normal hormones, like follicle stimulating hormones, estrogen, progesterone, but the level is higher than normally your body produce. So that is why it is important to be prepared before entering into the program. Just for you to understand the risks, for us to understand your real health state. So this is the panel of the hormones that you will have, if we're talking here for surrogacy using own eggs, that you will have in our clinic when you come. It's for the intended mother. The AMH level shouldn't be, it can be done on any day of your menstrual cycle. and it shouldn't be older than at least 6 months, because it shows the ovarian reserve. It helps the doctor to define if there is a possibility for us to make the program using your eggs. So, later, how the program starts after we sign contracts and after you make the payment, the medical team starts looking for a surrogate mother for you. When you are here, when you're there seeing the doctor, you have probably preferences toward the surrogate mother. Our doctor needs in our clinic, the surrogate mother is selected by the doctor because the doctor doesn't judge from the appearance. The doctor has the thick folder of surrogate mother test results, of reviews from psychologists, from social worker, from narcologist, from a general physician, to understand if this particular woman can physically and mentally take part in the surrogacy program. And that is why the surrogate mother is selected by our doctor only after the qualification process. The qualification process goes about 1 month because there are a lot of different, Ukrainian legislation is quite tough on all the procedures that are connected to the artificial, to artificial methods of assisted reproduction. We need every single paper to correspond to what is said in the order of Ministry of Healthcare. According to our legislation, a surrogate mother is a woman who has at least one healthy child of her own. So this means that a woman is actually fertile. She can carry out a pregnancy. If a woman suffers from like serious somatic diseases like diabetes or kidney problems or hypertension, such woman will not be able to enter into surrogate program, and such woman will not be matched with you. So this is also a slide showing the range of tests and qualification, like specialist opinions needed for a woman to become our surrogate mother. So you can see that we have local coordinators. We take women from all over Ukraine except for those regions with the civil unrest, because it's dangerous and we wouldn't like a pregnant woman to be in the place that there is a high risk for life, not even for pregnancy. And first, a local coordinator comes to see how a potential surrogate mother lives. Actually, here is the picture of one of our coordinators, the blonde lady. And she has interviews, but she works in the clinic itself. Surrogate mothers are interviewed, but this is the second stage. When she is already confirmed, when local coordinator visited her, the local coordinator estimated the conditions where surrogate mother lives, estimated how she treats own kids, because we deeply believe if a surrogate mother treats own kids on a high level, if kids are neat, clean, not hungry, if like she lives in a normal apartment, if it's clean, then she will have a healthy lifestyle. She will care about the pregnancy the same way as she cares of own kids. And after that, the surrogate mother, if she's confirmed by a coordinator, local coordinator, she comes to Kiev, to our clinic, to be screened, to talk to a legal assistant, because she needs to understand what are her rights and obligations in the process. And if she's okay Then she talked to the psychologist. The interview with the psychologist is also an important point in the program, because if the motivation for surrogacy from the side of a surrogate mother is wrong, there is high risk that the program will not be completed like in a good way. What I mean, normal attitude of our surrogate mothers, it's a win-win collaboration. The surrogate mother is helping the intended parents to feel the joy of parenthood, but simultaneously she helps her own family. She would like to buy apartment, or she would like her kids to go to a better school. Later I will show you the video or interview with our surrogate mothers, because in a lot of, not in a lot, but lately in some of articles, I talk a lot with like reporters, different journalists, and especially reporters from Nordic countries. They
Потерялся, наверное, кто-то. Не может найти.
They accuse us in exploitation, that we exploitate women, and they do not have money to eat, and that's why we take them and make them get pregnant. And it's absolutely different in Ukraine. It's not like it is. Surrogate mothers enter into program to have something more than they have, but they do not enter into program to just have money to eat. Yeah, during our stay with the surrogate mother, when surrogate mother is with us in the program, our coordinators, our system, we cover everything. If she decides not to work, we cover loss of income, we cover all utility bills, we cover absolutely all medical services for her, we cover transportation. If a surrogate mother decides that she wouldn't like her family to know that she is taking part in a surrogacy,
Иришечка, Ириш, можешь выйти встретить?
Over there, to take part into surrogacy program, we can provide actually, we hire apartments for such women. Of course, not in Kyiv, because in Kyiv for 9 months it would be extremely expensive, but in some smaller towns near here, and we provide a babysitter for her babies, just for toddlers anyway, just when she visits the clinic. And yes, for some women, it may be a good thing, because according to our legislation, a woman may stay in a child's leave until her child is 3 years old. But some women consider that they need to stay longer, let's say until the child go to school. But it is not covered by our legislation. Then she takes part in the surrogacy program, which gives her an extra possibility to stay at home without losing income, because on a monthly basis. Come in, please. Come in. Yeah, we got lost also when we just the first time we came. Okay. Where was I? I was about how we treat the surrogate mother. So, and this gives her extra possibility to stay at home with her child, because we cover food, we cover clothing, we cover everything, and it gives additional year and a half to stay at home. We have surrogate mothers who already are second-time surrogate mothers with us, third-time surrogate mothers with us. So, additionally about our surrogate mothers, there is a hotline for surrogate mothers that is available 24/7. We started that about a year ago because sometimes a surrogate mother can face unexpected conditions. We had case when everything is okay, surrogate mother came to the clinic, she was checked, and then when she came home, it turned out that the bleeding started. So she calls to the helpline, and the local coordinator comes to her apartment or to her house, and this will be the first person to whom she will need to address just to solve this issue. Might be she need to be hospitalized urgently, or she may need some additional help with anything. Or this hotline also works if the surrogate mother feels that she's treated in the wrong way in our clinic, because we work with our staff to treat the surrogate mothers on the highest level, to address their needs and to give the full information according to our programs and according to the procedures and what to expect. Because in the BioTexCom there are 7 different departments and intended parents from all over the world. And for every country the process is different. Let's say for China, the exit process for intended parents is very quick, like 2-3 weeks. For UK, the exit process for the intended parents is quite long, 3-4 months. We have a little amount that is unpaid until the parents have all the forms from the surrogate mother. It's to secure ourselves and to secure you. Just you got all the needed papers, because I will say about that later, but as you know, getting the passport in Ukraine for your baby is not enough. You will need to go back to the UK and obtain the parental order. And that parental order process may take some time, and you will need some declarations from the surrogate mother that can be signed by her not earlier than 6 weeks after birth. And just for us to be on the safe side that the surrogate mother will come and sign all the paper, we leave just a little, we suspend a little amount. And when we are done with the papers, of course, we pay everything to the surrogate mother. But during this time, normally she will call to that 24/7 saying that we haven't paid everything, and then they will explain her. So, let's go further. Medical part.
It's time for the movie.
I will show you. I have that interview I promised you. I will show it to you just to have a quick mind relaxation, because a lot of theoretical information. Here there is a difference. Either we talk about the IVF using IVF surrogacy when the oocytes of the intended mother are used, or the oocytes the egg donor are used. The processes are different, because when you are to be stimulated during the initial consultation, you will have a protocol created by our doctor for you. You will also have medications. You will have a schedule of the ultrasound checks that you will need to have here, if any needed, or if you prefer to undergo the whole stimulation in Ukraine, then you will know the date. When a surrogate mother is found for you, then we start the program of synchronization. So you start stimulation, hormonal stimulation over here under the control of Irina, the program coordinator. Normally she would add you in WhatsApp or any other messenger, because some information will need it to be conveyed very quickly. And from other side in the clinic, the medical team started the preparation of the surrogate mother, and we will work in a fresh cycle. You will be synchronized with the surrogate mother, and when you start your stimulation, you will know the date when you will need to be in Kyiv. There is no possibility to come just for the egg retrieval. No. You will need to be in a Kyiv from the 5th to the 7th day of your ovarian stimulation, and to spend some time up to 10 days, probably 12 weeks depends how your ovaries respond on the stimulation. And every other day doctor will see you. Every other day doctor will check how the follicles grow. Because here the doctor needs to have the balance, because too many follicles, too high dosage may cause low quality. A lot of like high quantity, low quality, we don't want that. We want probably less quantity, but better quality. Anyway, you will have a protocol for you. And the surrogate mother is taking medications for endometrial growth. And when the doctor sees that you're ready for the egg retrieval, then egg retrieval will take place. And on the 5th day after fertilization takes place on the day of the egg retrieval. And on the 5th day after fertilization, start the embryo transfer. In case of the egg donation surrogacy, it will be easier for you because if, like, let's say the sperm is of a good quality and you decide that you are not able to come for the second visit, so you will freeze the sperm in our clinic and we will unfreeze it for fertilization. And Yarina, as your program coordinator, will keep you updated. The shortest notice time is about 5 days when actually fertilization happens. Normally she updates about 7 to 10 days that on the certain day the fertilization will take place. And after that the model is the same. How much time you need to wait to enter into program? It depends on the contract. Currently, the waiting time after you actually sign the contract, made the first payment, have submitted all the needed documents with the VIP surrogacy is up to 2.5 months, with the standard packages up to 4 months. What does it mean? During these 2.5 months or 4 months, medical team will work on preparing a surrogate mother for. This will mean that within this time, you will have fertilization and transfer. And if the first attempt doesn't work, you will need to wait for the second attempt. The time period, the waiting time period will be the same, because it will be as if we started from the very beginning, because we need to find a different surrogate mother, we need to test her, we need to confirm her. We do not want to take a woman out of the street, because if it doesn't work from the first attempt, the doctor will see why it didn't work, the doctor will just do everything for that to work from the second attempt. If it doesn't, anyway, here, I always, because I absolutely understand the wish of the parents to have pregnancy as soon as possible. But here we do not talk about time. Here we talk about the positive result. So we would like our medical team to work in the most efficient manner to prepare actually the program for it to work for you. So, the embryo transfer happens on the 5th day, on the blastocyst stage. And in few days after the embryo transfer, you will receive from Yarina or Yarina's colleagues, because the coordination, Yarina is like the head of coordination team, the senior coordinator, and she has her colleagues, junior coordinators, who will send you the embryo protocol. In that embryo protocol, embryo cultivation protocol, you will see if it's a donor egg program, how many eggs were retrieved, how many of them were mature and used for fertilization, how embryos were developing, like in 12 hours, in 24 hours, in 48 hours, how many of them reached the moral stage. You will see if you opted for PGS or PGD, you will see the results of PGS or PGD, you will see the results of the transfer, how many embryos were transferred, and you will see the results of how many embryos we are cryopreserved. We cryopreserve embryos of a good quality only. I explain you why we do not freeze the embryos of like BB, BC quality. because they will not survive unfreezing. Embryos who have high quality AA, AB, after unfreezing, it's according to our embryo lab. After unfreezing, they become stronger. We had a lot of cases when it didn't work on fresh transfers, fresh embryos, but it worked when there was a frozen embryo transfers. But embryos that are weak, they will not survive the unfreezing, so it will be an attempt in vain. ACG test the surrogate mother comes to have her ACG test here, like a urine test, but the ACG test actually is a blood test, and it is carried out in our clinic. She comes, she has her blood test, and if pregnancy is confirmed, you will have good news that your surrogate mother is pregnant. Normally, coordinators send the value of the ACG test. So the value may be like, she will send you the number 357. This means that it's a good pregnancy. Or if you wanted twins and we transferred 2 or 3 embryos, and if you got the ACG test like about 2000, it's a hint that probably you have twins. Anyway, at that stage, we will not be able to define. But later, in 2 weeks after the ACG test, there will be the first ultrasound check. The first ultrasound check is done by the doctor who was responsible for all the program, who stimulated you or stimulated a donor, who synchronized with the surrogate mother, who made the embryo transfer. It is a very short report that you will receive. There you will see how many embryos implanted, the state of the uterus, if there is any risk of miscarriage. If everything is okay, the surrogate mother goes under the care of pregnancy monitoring unit. If there is a risk of miscarriage, the surrogate mother is going to be hospitalized, or she will be administered different medications. It's up to the doctor to decide. So now we come up to the pregnancy monitoring stage. The surrogate mother comes to the clinic if pregnancy is normal, comes to the clinic on the monthly basis. So starting from the 12th week ultrasound check, we encourage you to come for the ultrasound check, to talk to the surrogate mother. If you saw in the video, the surrogate mothers are okay to communicate. And here you will need to have a balance, because a surrogate mother needs to be supported. She needs to feel that the baby will be loved. She needs to feel that you are also in this process. But I will also just cite myself. You do not need to adopt the surrogate mother into your family. You will need to keep the balance, and in that way the outcome will be perfect. You will have your baby born. We're not going to have any issues on the final stage with the documents, and you will be thankful to each other with the surrogate mother. In this process, there are 3 participants: you as intended parents, a surrogate mother, and a baby. And all 3 participants need to be happy. So we will try to help you to maintain that balance. If you can't come for the ultrasound check, because ultrasound check like 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 20 weeks, the summaries, the reports from that ultrasound check, they're different. 12 weeks it's longer than 6 weeks ultrasound. Like 16 weeks is even more just detailed. On the 20th week, you will have the addition to the ultrasound check report, where it will be said like every organ in the baby's body will be measured, checked, etc. You will just have in your report like even fingers counted, fingers and toes and heart, 4 chambers, like bladder, everything. So you will see if your baby is developing healthy, just is growing. And sometimes, on the 12th or the 16 weeks, in the research column that is called peculiarities in ultrasound check report, and sometimes it is put B or G. This means either boy or girl. The doctor defines the sex of the baby. If you didn't select the PGD option, because the BAP surrogacy gives the possibility to transfer embryos of a certain gender. If you do not know from the very beginning what will be the gender of your baby, you will know at that stage, on 16 weeks. Also, on the 12th week of pregnancy and on the 16th week of pregnancy, there are 2 screenings. These are screenings for trisomy. On the 12th week, trisomy 13, 18, 21, Down syndrome, Edwards syndrome, and Patel syndrome. And trisomy 18, 21 on the 16th week of pregnancy. Also, this screening shows the possible defect of neural tube. It is done by combining of the ultrasound check dimensions and the biochemical values in the blood of the surrogate mother. So, one thing I forgot to tell. If you can't come with the ultrasound check, you may have a Skype call. For that, you just will need to arrange it with Irina or Irina's colleagues. And but the ultrasound check take place on certain day of the month. So we will arrange the Skype call on the day of ultrasound check in order not to make the surrogate mother comes to Kiev like twice a month. Because if there is no need for her for extra visit, we really do not think that it's a good idea to make her come extra time. If you just wish to say something to a surrogate mother, you may drop an email to Irina and she will forward it to the surrogate mother. So before you come for the delivery, there will be one more very important aspect. You will be guided by the exit process specialist, and here we come a little bit to the legal thing, because you will need to bring with you some of the documents. You will need to get them prepared while you're still in the UK before you come for the delivery. Because you will need your marriage certificate to be apostillized, you will need for your embassy, you will need your birth certificates, we will need, our civil registry office will need for all of the names on your passports to correspond to the names in your marriage certificate. If the situation is different, you will need an intermediate document just to explain that this is one and the same person. Like I told, Ukrainian Civil Registry Office, it finds one letter that differs from another, from in the name on your marriage certificate and on your passport, they will actually say these are different people. But you will be guided by our exit specialist, like starting from the 30th week of your pregnancy. And when you have the documents prepared, it's a good idea to send them to just for us to look through, and it will be much more easier than to make you go back to the UK when you're already in Ukraine. So, actually, when your baby is born, with the BAP surrogacy, if the maternity, we work with public maternity houses. We do not work with private maternity houses that are currently in Ukraine. I will explain you why. We work with maternity houses that have very high reputation, that are equipped with modern equipment, and have the units of intensive care. Because if the delivery is normal, our doctors and doctors like all doctors in Ukraine prepare the delivery to go in a natural way. If there are no extra indications for C-section, your baby will be delivered in a natural way. So if something goes wrong and it's a delivery, and it may happen, we need the maternity house to be equipped to save both the surrogate mother and your baby. Maternity houses have restrictions. They have restrictions for visiting time. They have restrictions for your presence in the maternity house. With the VIP surrogacy program, there is a possibility to stay in the maternity house with the baby from the very first day of the life. If maternity house allows, you will be present during the delivery. You will not, if it's natural delivery. For some parents, it is very important to see the baby like from the very first seconds of their life. But if it's a C-section, of course, they will not let you to enter into the operation room. If you sign the standard package, you will be visiting your baby. The baby will stay about 3-4 days in the maternity house. You will be visiting the baby during the open hours of the maternity house. And it is also indicated there that in case of twins, even if twins are born in natural way, first they are put to intensive care unit. It's just a normal practice just to be watched. Or if it was a C-section, the babies may spend in the maternity house up to 7 days. The surrogate mother also stays during this time in the maternity house, but they stay in separate units. So here we comes to the birth certificate thing.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Why the staying and the baby is born? Is the milk, first milk given from the mother, or is
No, it's going to be formula. It's going to be formula, yes, because the milk production will cause the rise of the oxytocin level, and that is responsible for attachment of a surrogate mother to the baby. And we do not think that it's okay for the surrogate mother. The surrogate mother will get a pill just to stop the lactation, because once lactation starts, it will be harder to stop it. And the surrogate mother shouldn't be attached to the baby, because she is going to have a hard time later when you take the baby and go home.
Is that optional, or is that a process that you stop the lactation?
No, there is no possibility to just for a breastfeed baby. No, it is not possible. It's just currently, we have so great formulas that the only exception that is when a surrogate mother can pump out milk, just I recall from our experience, if babies were born severely premature, and it was like the doctor recommended that the surrogate mother gives her breast milk, and babies were fed through the tube by that breast milk. But there were only few cases. And as we come up to this point, BioTexCom covers all the expenses in the maternity house until your baby is discharged. So if your baby is born premature, if your baby needs additional care, it will be covered by us. It's for both packages, either for standard or for the VIP. Until your baby is discharged from the maternity house, we cover all the expenses, as well as expenses as to just take care of the babies, like formulas, clothing. What if you wish? It's recommended to bring your own clothing for the baby, and especially if babies are premature, it is recommended for parents to visit them every day and to at least to sit near them and at least to hold a hand, because in my experience, 1 year ago, we had a couple where one of twins got to intensive care unit, and doctors didn't give any kind of positive prognosis for the baby. But recently we received beautiful pictures of twins, and because the surrogate, the intended mother, every day she came to the hospital and she spent the whole day holding the hand of the baby, and the baby recovered. The baby is healthy right now. We are very happy for this family. This is kind of miracles. It's because we believe that it is like it is like more. It's not only the medical part. It's something much more bigger and greater in the whole this process, and very much it depends on how from your attitude toward the whole process, how ready you are to be parents, because when you have your babies discharged from maternity hospital, you are fully responsible for them. So you do not sleep, you feed them. If babies are premature, you will need to feed them like every hour or every 2 hours during the night time, etc., etc., and you need to actually be ready for that. You will have, like, well, for the VIP surrogacy, we provide the housekeeper and the babysitter, but they are just helping hands. Main responsibility will be on you. And here we came up to the legal part. Probably any questions as to medical part?
Do you find that the surrogate mother wants the parents there at the birth? That's what I think.
Sorry, just.
Do you find that the surrogate mother actually wants the intended parents around at the birth? Is that part of the process? So you've talked about in the VIP package, the intended parents being around.
Yeah.
Do you find that the surrogate
You
mother
see,
likes
it
that?
is discussed with
Okay.
with the surrogate mother. It is discussed because some surrogate mothers are not okay for intended parents to be there, because just and we say that then she will not go to the VIP surrogacy, because the main thing is if the surrogate mother should concentrate on the doctor's words, not on the fact that someone is like in the room. And of course, if you decide that you would like to be during the birth, it is very, very recommended to get actually acquainted long time before. So in order not for you to be strangers in the operating room. And if you decide to be during the delivery, you will need to come prior, and you will need to undergo tests in Ukraine, because you will not be allowed to enter into the room if you do not have if you do not have photofluorography, so and nasal swabs.
Excuse.
Yeah.
In case the baby will be delivered like earlier than the expected date of delivery, and obviously, example, I'm here in UK. It's so hard for me about visa and about traveling. Will not it affect the process of the legalization?
No, it will not. It will not affect because surrogacy in UK it is allowed. So you go, though it's allowed on a different basis than in Ukraine, but the surrogacy your embassy will know that it is surrogacy. It's open. Our exit process specialists will provide you with the whole thick folder of documents where there will be all the ultrasound checks, all pictures, different cover letters, everything. The head doctor will write down the details of your case. So it will not affect. Because if you even can't come and you decide to, you will, some parents just choose to come for delivery, not for delivery, but for the discharge. And of course, if birth happened unexpected and you were not ready for that, or if the baby is premature and it turns out that the baby will need to spend 2 weeks in the NICU or up to months. So for some parents, it is not possible to stay that whole time in Ukraine.